Hello students, this is Praveen sir, GSI PU College Physics. Today my topic of discussion is current electricity. It's a new chapter, current electricity. This chapter is very important from your examination point of view because this chapter contains 13 marks in your examination. 13 marks. If you observe the pattern of question paper, you can find two 5 marks questions. In your question paper, part D, the part D, you will find the fourth main. In the fourth main, there are 3 questions, question number 27, question number 28 and question number 29. Usually, question number 28 will be asked from the current electricity chapter. So, this is a 5 mark question. So, one 5 mark question will be definite in this chapter. Next, if you consider the last part, that is the 6th one. So, here we find problems. So, there are 5 problems starting with 33, 34, 35, 36 and 37. So, out of these 5 problems, the 34th problem will be asked from current electricity chapter. So, you will find 2 5 marks questions and there will be a 1 mark question and also 1 2 mark question. So, totally 13 marks will be carried by this chapter. Not only in your board exam and also in your CET, you will find minimum of 6 questions. 6 questions from CET. So, this chapter is very important from your examination point of view, whether it is a board exam or a CET exam. So, you should understand this chapter very clearly. Now, let me start with, what we have learned from the previous 2 chapters, that is from electrostatics. When you fix a charge q at a space, in a space, this charge q will develop an electric field around it. We know that electric field will be developed by this charge around its space. If any other charge of magnitude q is entering into this electric field, now these 2 charges will interact. They may attract or they may repel depending on the nature of the charges. So, this charge is experiencing a force due to the electric field of this charge. In the same way, if we consider uniform electric field, suppose if you consider an uniform electric field E. Now, let us place a charge q inside the uniform electric field E. This charge will also experience a force due to this electric field. So, we have learned the equation for force. The equation for force is F is equal to Q into E. Force is equal to Q into E. So, this is a force experienced by this charge inside the electric field. If there is a force on this charge means, we know that the force is written as M into A. So, F is equal to M into A. So, there will be an acceleration for this charge. This charge will be accelerated inside the electric field. If this charge is a positive charge, it will accelerate towards the electric field, and if this charge is a negative charge, it will accelerate away from the electric field. So, however, if the charge is placed in electric field, it will be having a acceleration. So, there will be a motion for a charge. Now, let me consider a metallic conductor of AB, and this conductor is having a circular cross section. This conductor is having a circular cross section. So, when you say it is a metallic conductor, we find free electrons on its surface. So, there are number of free electrons on the metal surface. Now, let us have a positively charged plate. This is a positively charged plate. I will fix this positively charged plate to end A now, so that end A is at the positive potential. V plus refers to the end A is at a positive potential. Now, let us have a negatively charged plate, negatively charged circular plate, and let us fix this negatively charged plate to end B. So now the end B is at a negative potential. So end A is maintained at positive potential and end B is maintained at negative potential. So there will be a potential difference between the two ends of a conductor. So there is a potential difference between the two ends of a conductor. Now we know that all the electrons, the free electrons, they are free to move on the surface of a conductor. Now this electron is a negatively charged, so that this electron should be attracted towards the positive potential. So all the electrons which are present, all the free electrons which are present in the metal will be now attracted towards the positive potential. So here also we can find an electric field E which is directed in this way, positive to negative end. So there is an electric field here and there are charges here. So as I told you earlier, inside the electric field the charges will experience a force so that they can move. Now if we consider the motion of electrons, all the electrons are now moving towards the end A. So the charges are in motion, so that there is a electric current in a conductor. There is electric current in a conductor. So the motion of electric charges constitutes the electric current. I will write it. Motion of electric charges in a conductor constitutes electric current. Yes. Now motion of electric charges in a conductor constitutes electric current. This is what the electric current is. Now let us see this electric current as a quantity. How can you express the electric current in a conductor? How to measure the electric current in a conductor? Suppose if I write all these electrons as a one particular charge, that is Q, is equal to N into E. So we know from the electrostatics, charges are quantized. A total charge on a body can be expressed as the integral multiples of basic unit of charge called electrons. So if I say all these charges is written as Q, that is equal to N into E. Now what is the equation for current, or how one can define the current? I will write it. I told you that this is a cross section of a conductor. It's a cross section of a conductor. All the charges are now crossing this cross section. All the charges, electric charges, are crossing this cross section in a time t. If q amount of charges are crossing this cross section in time t, we can write the current as electric current I as q divided by t. That is, current is equal to charge divided by time. This is the equation for current. Current is equal to charge divided by time. So q by t. We can write this q as N into E. Q is equal to N into E. So we can write one more equation for current now. So q is equal to N into E. Therefore this equation implies I is equal to N into E divided by T. So N into E divided by T, also you can write this as plus or minus, because we can find the charge on electron is negative, but the charge on proton is positive. Therefore you can write this as plus or minus N into E. I is equal to plus or minus N into E by T. So this is the equation for current. I is equal to Q by T. So by using this equation, let us define the current as. Let us define the current as, it is the rate of flow of electric charges, Q by T. So with respect to time. So this equation says that charge divided by time is current. Therefore we can define this current as the rate of flow of electric charges. The rate of flow of electric charges. This is called as electric current. I will write the definition. Electric current is now according to that equation. How to write the equation? Electric current is equal to the rate of flow of electric charges. Rate of flow of electric charges in a conductor. This is the definition of electric current, and we find the equation as I is equal to Q by T. So let us write what is the unit of current. So we know that the unit of charge is coulomb. The unit of charge is coulomb divided by the unit of time is second. So coulomb per second. So current is written as, the unit of current is written as coulomb per second, but that coulomb per second is said to be ampere. That is why the SI unit of electric current is, the SI unit of electric current is ampere. SI unit of electric current is ampere. Yes. So what we have learned now is how electric current is there in a conductor. So if there is a motion of charges in a conductor, that constitutes electric current. How to write the equation for current? Current is written to be I is equal to Q by T, or I is equal to plus or minus NE by T. And what is the unit of current? The SI unit of electric current is ampere, which is written to be A. The symbol of ampere is capital A. Now let me go to the next concept. I told you, when we have a metallic conductor A, D, and this is the cross section of a conductor, and there are electrons in a conductor. If we have a positive potential at this end and negative potential at the other end, then only the charges can move. So in order to make these charges to flow in a conductor, what is the very important thing is, there must be a potential difference between the two ends of a conductor. So I told you that a positive charged plate is attached to end A and a negatively charged plate is attached to end B, so that there is a potential difference. If all the electrons are now flowing towards this end A, and after some time what may happen is, this charge will be neutralized because these are electrons which are flowing to this end, so this charge may get neutralized. Then there is no potential difference, then there is no current. So in order to make the current to flow continuously, we need some external device that is called as a cell or a battery. We have to connect this conductor with an external source called a cell or a battery. This is called as a cell. This is a symbol of cell. This is a positive end and this is a negative end, so that this end A is constantly at positive potential, as this is connected to the positive potential of a battery, and this end is kept at a negative potential. So this cell or a battery is maintaining a constant potential difference. We write that as V, or you can call this potential difference also as a voltage. So A and B are maintained at constant potential difference due to this cell, so that there will be a continuous flow of current in a conductor. Now, so if there is a potential difference, if there is a potential difference across the ends of a conductor, then only current flows through it. This is a very important point to be remember. When does a current can flow in a conductor? Whenever there is a potential difference. The quantity potential difference is very important. So if there is a potential difference, then only the charges can flow. Now let me consider the direction of electric current. So we have to consider the direction of electric current. See, the electrons in this conductor are moving from end B to A. So I told you that electrons are negatively charged, therefore they will be attracted towards the positive end. But if you consider the direction of current in a metallic conductor, the conventional current is considered opposite to the flow of electrons. Means if the electrons are flowing in this direction, electrons are flowing from this end to this end, the direction of current is considered opposite to it. So conventionally the direction of current is taken as opposite to the flow of negatively charged electrons, or the direction of current is taken as the same as the direction of flow of positive charges. So if you consider the metallic conductors, the charge carriers are electrons. Therefore in this case the electrons are moving from this end to this end, that is from B to A, so that the current in this conductor is taken as from A to B. The direction of current is taken as A to B, so that the direction of current is opposite to the flow of electrons. That's the one more point you should remember very correctly. Now, what type of quantity is the electric current is? So from the first year you have learned that those quantities which are having a magnitude as well as direction are called as vector quantities. Even though the current is having a particular direction in a conductor, we should consider this quantity as a scalar quantity. Why we are considering a current as a scalar quantity? Because we know that vectors obey vector addition. If you consider the two vectors A and B which are acting at a single point, then this addition, the addition of two vectors is along the diagonal drawn to the parallelogram. So this is what we call as a parallelogram law of vector addition. So vectors obeys this vector addition, but in order to add the current, if current is flowing to this point from two different ends, then for adding these two currents I1 and I2, so you simply add algebraically, like I is equal to the total current due to these two currents is written as I1 plus I2. This is an algebraic addition. So even though the current has a direction, we should consider this quantity as a scalar because it is not obeying the vector addition. Yes, we will move on to the next topic. This concept is very important for you in your examination. Ohm's law. Ohm's law. I will write the statement of Ohm's law. The electric current flowing through the conductor, electric current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential difference, across the ends of a conductor. Provided the temperature remains constant. Yes. The statement of Ohm's law is written as the electric current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential difference across the ends of a conductor, provided the temperature remains constant. Not only temperature and all the other physical quantities also. So if you write this mathematically, you can write Ohm's law as I is proportional to V. I is proportional to V. So I told you that if you consider any conductor and this conductor is connected with a cell or a battery, we will be studying this cell about the cell and battery in the later sections. Now this cell is providing the constant potential difference across the ends of a conductor. So I said this potential, only when there is a potential difference, then only current flows in a conductor. We know that. Now Ohm's law says that the current flowing through this conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential difference. I is proportional to V. Means, if you can see this as an example, let me consider an electric bulb. I will connect an electric bulb here, and the bulb is connected to a 2-volt battery. A bulb is connected to a 2-volt battery. Now this bulb is glowing with some intensity. I mean, say the intensity is some I1. I1 is the intensity of this bulb or brightness of that bulb. Now let us replace this cell with a 4-volt battery. Now I am replacing this battery with a 4-volt. Now what happens is the brightness of the bulb will increase, because as I increase the voltage across this bulb, what happens is the potential difference across the bulb will increase, so that the current flowing through this also increases and the bulb glows with a more brightness. If I say I2 is the intensity when the 4-volt battery is connected, you can clearly say that I2 is greater than I1. That means intensity when we connect this cell, a 4-volt cell, is more when we compare to the I1, that is intensity when we have connected the 2-volt battery. So this is what Ohm's law is, you can understand very simply. So I is proportional to V. So in order to make the current flow more, what we have to do is we have to increase the potential difference. If the potential difference increases, then current also increases. This is what the statement. Now let us write a proportional constant by removing this proportional sign. I will write that proportional constant as 1 by R into V. If I rearrange the equation, we get this V is equal to V equals. If I take R to the left hand side, this becomes I into R. So V equals I into R. We get an equation V is equal to I into R, where this R is called resistance. R is called resistance of a conductor. Resistance of a conductor. And this equation V equal to I into R is the mathematical form of Ohm's law. So the statement and that relation and also the mathematical form. So these are the topics to be covered in Ohm's law. Now up to now what we have studied is basically what is electric current, the definition of electric current. The previous section I have explained about the electric current. Electric current is nothing but the flow of electric charges in a conductor. So if you consider the electric current as a quantity, how we can write the quantity electric current is Q divided by T, charge divided by time. This is called as electric current. And the SI unit of electric current is ampere. Ampere is the unit of current. And then very importantly, the direction of electric current is considered to be opposite to the flow of electrons. And after that, electric current is a scalar quantity. Even though it has a direction, we have to consider that as a scalar quantity because it is not obeying the vector addition. And then we have learned Ohm's law. Ohm's law states that the electric current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential difference across its ends, providing temperature and all the other physical quantities remains constant. So we can relate Ohm's law as I is proportional to V, that is current is proportional to potential difference V. So I is equal to 1 by R into V, where this R is known as resistance of a conductor. So if you rearrange this equation, we get V is equal to I into R, and this is the mathematical form of Ohm's law. Yes.